Hello! Today, DJI are announcing their latest drone. It's a first-person view drone, otherwise known as the DJI FPV. So the first thing I'm going to talk about with this new drone by DJI is the camera. We have a 12 megapixel sensor on there that can record in up to 4K UHD, 50p PAL or 60p NTSC. You can also record in 100 frames per second or 120 frames per second PAL or NTSC in full HD mode, 1080p. This not only gives you a good resolution, but also gives you up to 4 times slow motion. In terms of recording formats, we have MP4 and we have .mov. In terms of the memory that we're recording to, we have a micro SD card that goes straight into the drone body. You can also put a micro SD card into the goggle set that you use to get your first person view from the drone. This is really good for, say, if you're recording something quite important and you're worried about crashing your drone or losing it entirely, then you can have a backup recording in the goggles. So just for backup purposes, recording in the drone would be the most secure option for getting a good solid recording just done straight from the source, and then the goggles just so that you have it immediately, even under any risk of potentially losing the drone that would have the other card in it, if you get what I mean. Now, in terms of image stabilization, there is EIS, which is electronic image stabilization, but also the camera is attached to a gimbal head to steady your shot as you are flying. Now, FPV drones are not exactly new to the market. They've been around for years. There is a whole industry based around drone racing you might have heard of. It's been online for years now, and those drones can pick up some pretty good speeds. Now the DJI FPV can also get up to some amazing speeds, being capable of going up to 140 kilometers per hour. It has a manual, a sport and a normal mode, but in manual mode we can go up to 39 meters per second. Now this drone has a maximum flight time of 20 minutes, so you may want to get multiple batteries for both your drone and your goggles, because your goggles will need power as well. However, your goggles have a runtime of about 110 minutes per charge, but the batteries for both are uniquely made. Like, these are new batteries we're talking about, so you will need to buy new batteries for these if you are looking to run this device. Now, in terms of actually taking off, we don't actually have any test footage for you in this video, I'm afraid. We're saving that for another video, because what you need in order to take off from the ground with the DJI FPV is that you need the application that DJI have paired with this drone to be operational for this drone when you come to fly it. And the way that you connect that up is that you have the app ready on your phone. You have to sign up and everything, so everything's legit. And then what you do is you plug your phone into the goggle set, and then the goggles will communicate with the drone that you are then able to take flight. The goggles have a USB-C port on there that the phone connects into. If you only have, say, like a standard USB plug for it, then the headset does come with an adapter, so you can use that to connect. The controller is rather nice. It's got an antenna on there. With most drones that are on the market that aren't FPV drones, that don't come with the goggles, you would often just mount your phone or your iPad to the controller and have that as, say, like it's like a kind of a Game Boy style thing where you control it through this gamepad sort of style. The controller for this one just has an antenna that connects with the goggles and the drone, and then allows you to control it hands-free. So there are no cables between the controller and the goggles at all, which means you can move more freely. The controller itself looks like it takes a lot from what you would expect of a PlayStation controller, which I think would be quite nice in terms of like what people are familiar with when taking control of their drone. It even has an emergency stop button on there, which can stop your drone at 72 kilometers per hour within 2 seconds and hold it stably in the air. What I can imagine is that the difference between having the more conventional drone setup, where you've got a controller with your iPhone or iPad monitor on there, and then having to monitor where your drone is every, 5 seconds to see that it's not brushing into a tree branch or anything. Comparing that to an FPV style setup where you've got goggles on, I imagine it to be a much more immersive experience. And also having that first person perspective as well Or to help with like the aerodynamics and the control, because with you being more part of the machine, so to speak, I imagine it would give you a lot more to react to, almost as if you were playing a video game. Whereas I feel the drone setups where it's a lot more detached and you're looking down at a monitor and looking up there to make sure you're not crashing into anything. I imagine that is a lot more detached and requires a lot more focus. That's not to say that there aren't hazards with FPVs potentially crashing. The risks of crashing due to high winds or being in tight spaces is very real. But what I can imagine is going to be really epic about the DJI FPV is that with those very fast speeds, if you take this out to say like the countryside or something, then you're going to be able to get amazing, like literally sweeping across landscapes and getting some amazing shots. The drone also has an amazing aesthetic to it. It has that kind of sci-fi look to it where it almost looks like an attack quadcopter of some kind. It looks really cool. It also gives off this really cool sound effect when you power it on for the first time, along with those LEDs that come on the body, which obviously are meant to make it more visible when airborne, although it does make it look cool as well. Even if you want to go racing for it at 140 kilometers per hour, people might want to give that a test run, see if it holds up in any drone racing. I'm not really an expert, so I mean, you can tell me in the comments down below, see what you think. But anyway, we are going to be getting some test footage in the near future, so you might want to subscribe to the channel and maybe ring that notification bell. Amanda Leeming actually has one of the DJI FPVs in her possession right now. So Amanda, we're going to be getting some test footage from you in the near future. What are you most excited about?
I'm more excited about flying this drone than any other drone I think I've ever experienced, solely because it's going to be the most immersive thing I've ever done. Short of actually sitting inside the cockpit and being the actual pilot, adding these to the whole experience is going to be completely game-changing for me, and I can't wait to share the footage with you.
And as for you viewers out there, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. We're always happy to answer any questions that you have, or alternatively, you can leave a comment down below and we'll answer any questions that you have down there also. There is a link in the description to the store page for the DJI FPV if you want to read up about it, so be sure to check that out. Even if you want to make a little pre-order for yourself, you can do that there as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.